there's kind of a lot to say on nationalism. So leaning into kind of white supremacism, Trump's nominee for a senior State Department role, this guy called Jeremy Carl, told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in a kind of confirmation hearing that a loss of dominant white culture is weakening America. And then following a flood of donations from hard right donors in December, including Peter Thiel, Donald Trump then endorsed Texas congressional candidate Jace Yarborough on Truth Social. Now, Yarborough has recently articulated, as part of his campaign in Texas, a series of pretty extremist positions, including saying that immigrants don't share the same values as Americans. He called for a return to race-based immigration quotas and said that Islam is fundamentally incompatible with American citizenship. And then the administration is making it harder for immigrants here legally and those seeking legal status. So firstly, they announced a proposal to prevent undocumented immigrants from receiving federal housing assistance. Now, that may seem innocuous, but it's a policy that could displace tens of thousands of legal residents and citizens, many of them children, who live with unauthorized relatives in public housing. The Department of Homeland Security also proposed a new rule which will really make it much harder for asylum seekers to work. So basically, they said they're going to pause work permits for asylum applicants until the average processing times for those applications is less than half a year. But based on current wait times, that in itself could take over 100 years to get to that level. They've also given immigration officers much broader powers to detain legal refugees waiting a green card, basically saying they have to be re-vetted. So they've gone through this kind of very rigorous process to kind of become refugees, and then now they're applying for their green card. They're having to go through that process again. And then in January, all eyes were kind of on immigration actions in Minnesota. And then at the end of the month, the Trump administration said it was going to draw down federal immigration agents in Minnesota. But actually, it kind of now seems, according to attorneys and advocates, that what they're actually doing is kind of trying to divert people's attention, and they've moved out into the suburbs and other towns, and they're kind of using laws to get people to come out of their homes. So in one instance, they used 2 agents who pretended that their car had broken down outside an immigrant's house who was a mechanic. He came out to help, and then agents swarmed and arrested him. So basically what people are saying is that they've kind of used that drawdown messaging to actually lower people's guards, and the arrests are continuing just as they were before, with little oversight or transparency. For those who were already in ICE detention, things continue to be really grim. Last week, a detainee died in Indiana with the cause of death under investigation, making that at least the 7th death just this year in federal immigration custody.